Our first management in focus is Nazara Technologies, and my colleague Rucha spoke to the joint MD and CEO Nitish about the company's growth prospects ahead. Here's what he had to say.
For us, Kidopia, which is the main IP of Paperboat, has been a fantastic outcome. It's got established as a global IP and game for kids in the age of 2 to 8. And we believe that by acquiring 100% stake in this business and making it a wholly owned subsidiary of Nazara, there's a lot more we can do and grow this business to the next level. So I think we are very excited about this opportunity and to take Kidopia to the next level and have a positive impact on kids all over the world.
Right. So as you had mentioned in the exchange filing, you're paying a total cash consideration of around 300 crore, of which around 225 has been paid in the first tranche. Can you tell us more about the second tranche for this transaction?
Yeah, sure. There's a certain transition period post which we will make the remaining payments. Also, it's important to note that the company Paperboat Apps has cash of approximately 160 crores, which will also get added to our balance sheet after this transaction.
Right, okay. And amongst the revenue from Paperboat, in which of the segments do you expect the revenue to be included? I think it will be, you have largely esports and ad tech as your major businesses, if I'm not wrong.
But we also have a gaming business, which is our primary business. We have
Right.
gaming, esports, and ad tech. So, Kidopia is already included in the gaming business and will continue to be reported in there.
So the revenue from Paperboat is to be included in which segment again?
In the gaming segment.
In the gaming segment, all right. Okay, so talking more about the revenue growth in terms of, say, CAGR, the compounded annual growth rate, what kind of growth percentage do you expect to come from this kind of acquisition?
So, we have been, as you know, we had acquired majority stake in Paperboat Apps nearly 4 or 5 years back. And the company's almost grown 6x to 8x in that interim period. In the last year and a half, 2 years, the growth was a bit muted. But now with the takeover and with new strategies that we are putting in, we hope the growth will resume on an accelerated phase. I think it is possible if we do everything correctly that this business could, double in the next 3 to 4 years.
Okay, double is, I think, great for the company. But then can you tell us about the margin profile that could be coming from this one? So initially, do you expect margin dilution, say, for the next 2-3 quarters, is it?
The business has been generally in the 20 to 22% kind of margin rate. And as we try to accelerate for growth, you may see some drop in margins because we spend more money in acquiring users and we get revenues from these users we acquire over a 2 year period. So from an accounting standards perspective, we have to expense all the user acquisition costs upfront. So as we move into a larger growth profile, you may see short-term margin pressure, but that will eventually deliver very healthy margins at scale.
Right. So talking about the Q1 numbers, the margins were at 4% around. So dilution at this stage would mean what? Muted margins going ahead?
No, I'm not sure which numbers you're referring to because our overall margins were closer to 10% on EBITDA side of the company. And Kidopia actually had much higher margins. The margins were closer to 20%.
Right. Okay. Actually, I was referring to the EBIT margin, but nevertheless, 10% margin to be diluted to around what level? Around 7% levels is what do you expect going ahead?
Again, just to clarify, I was talking about margins specifically to Kidopia.
Okay.
When at 10% margin, we're looking at the overall business of Nazara, which is, as you know, is a very diversified business. And I believe our margins will continue to improve this year and in the years coming ahead. So we don't expect pressure on the overall margins of the company.
So, sorry, coming back, the margin dilution which you talked about, you were only talking about the Kidopia business?
Yes, that is right.
So, won't that have an effect on the overall margin?
No, it will not have. I mean, because we are, like I said, we are a diversified platform. And while we may, expect some minor correction on margins on Kidopia as we try to grow the business, we have many other engines of growth and of margin enhancement, which will make up for it as well as deliver additional margin.
Right. Got that clarity on margins. Thank you. Moving on to the new pact pact with Telangana government for the AI innovation hub, which the company has entered into. Can you tell us more about this kind of pact?
Sure. We think that artificial intelligence for a business like ours, which is in technology, new media, is extremely important to focus on. I think in the next 3 to 5 years, you're going to see significant disruptions, both on the positive and negative side. And therefore, we want to make sure that as a company, we are, paying a lot of attention here and doing a lot of active work here so that we can leverage and benefit from AI as it comes. In gaming, especially, the way you make games, the way you engage with players, the way you monetize these players, I think AI can make a world of a difference. And therefore, we want to create a center of excellence where we are going to have a core team that is going to focus on continuous innovation on this space. And the Telangana government has offered us, a lot of benefits that we hope to they're quite excited to promote this. And we are very excited to kind of work together to build the center of excellence over there.
Right, got that. So any kind of revenue potential, not really from this one, right?
There's no direct revenue potential, but I think indirectly it would have a lot of benefit to a variety of the businesses that we run.
Right. So do you expect any kind of pact with some other government as well going ahead?
Sure, we may we are always open to working with government both at state level and national level. Our belief is that India has a massive opportunity on the gaming side. The Prime Minister in this Independence Day speech actually had put out a vision statement of how Indian gaming can build and Indian gaming developers can build for India and for the world. So I think from a Nazara perspective, wherever we can engage with all the relevant stakeholders to grow gaming in India, we're more than happy to do so.
Right. Okay, got that. Again, moving on to some very interesting and talked about topic is the GST on gaming. Do you expect the government to, say, increase that kind of GST on the gaming services as was talked about, say, last year towards the end of October? So how do you see that as a threat to the company?
I think the government has already significantly increased the GST in October of 23. And in fact, the GST Council's review that just happened showed that the GST revenues from gaming have increased by 400%. So I think that action has already been taken by the government, and various gaming companies are kind of hoping on how to, accommodate the increased taxes while continuing to grow and deliver a profitable business. That is work in progress.
Right. Got that. So I think the threats are already priced in, and I think that will not be a major sort of effect on the company's operations going ahead, if I'm not wrong.
That is correct.
Right. Sure. Moving on to say the outlook for the second half of FY25. You said that in the last call, you said that you anticipate announcement of partnerships in the Kidopia segment, and you also expect expansion in the esports segment to grow in the second half. So how do you stick by to the outlook for FY25 going ahead?
We remain very positive. The company is very active. We've also been very focused on new M&A. We announced a transaction about 3 weeks back with a UK-based studio called Fusebox. So we built a very strong deal pipeline, and I think we will continue to invest very actively in the coming months. So we remain very positive on FY25 and even more positive so in FY26.
Right. You remain positive so in FY26. Got that. Okay, you also mentioned about the publishing division, the new contract for that. So, and you also mentioned about targeting 5 million pre-registrations before the launch. I mean, that's huge. So how's your progress towards that?
No, very good. We recently launched the pre-registrations for FAU-G, which is a game, made in India game, I would say, which we believe can be very popular. That's one of the first key games that we are publishing on the Nazara publishing platform. And we're off to a good start. It's a bit early to share numbers. We are confident that we will get a few million registrations before we launch the game, and the game should launch in a couple of months' time.